Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 4118. Today's date is June 23, 2026. It's been almost like night at 9:12 p.m. All right, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. All right. So, question is, how will user access delete data? Okay, delete data. Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question, and why am I asking this question to myself? Um, okay, okay. Sorry, I'm in kind of like a very, like hang. I don't know. Sometimes kind of like I get hang. Okay. What exactly is it? Okay. Why am I asking this question to myself? Okay, I wanted to build a app called My Artifact. What exactly is this application? Well, when you write the diary every single day, you cannot able to be write the diary the way that you wanted to. The reason is that your writing speed is much more slower than your thought process. Why does writing speed is kind of like a slower? Because of when you try to write something, you need a pen, you need a paper, you need a convenience, and even after that, you cannot able to match your thoughts. Okay, and because of this thing, writing a diary is a kind of like a very difficult to do this thing. That's why almost like a no one write the diary, but writing a diary is a very essential. It's a self reflection process. So what if instead of writing a diary, what if we could record a diary, like a audio record a diary? Okay, the stuff that you are kind of like a listening right now, this is my artifact. Like a basically it's this thing that now my artifact, like it's a kind of like an audio diary. For it's a kind of like my audio diary. Okay, I called it my artifact. I am doing this thing for past 11 year. I am doing this thing for every single day. Because of kind of like writing a diary or recording a diary or recording a artifact is a kind of like a self reflection process. Artifact is also kind of like a became my self reflection process. The amount of value that I add from this artifact, like it's just like a like so much. The person that I became today, the person that I will become tomorrow, it is all because of this artifact. The amount of value that it add into me, I want that key. If artifact is add value in me so much, I think that key, if people who kind of like record the artifact, it will gonna add value in people life too. But how does kind of like a simply how does kind of like some people will add value from this artifact? By building an application. Well, my application like basically is this thing na, I have to be kind of like a some league, like make sure that my artifact pitch should supposed to be kind of like a really good. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Now, why am I kind of like asking this kind of like a new question? And for this question, why am I not kind of like directly jump into the answer? Why am I kind of like telling this thing that why am I asking this question and things and that and that? Okay, specifically regarding about this artifact application is that it's a kind of like assembly. I'm kind of like a preparing pitch. So when I will kind of like assembly went in front of the investor and try to pitch my idea, pitch my kind of like application, what exactly it does and things and that, I will not gonna fumble. Okay, so for this thing, I'm kind of like telling why am I asking this question, as well as kind of like telling the pitch and things and that. All right, so I will gonna try again. Okay, right now I'm kind of like a fumble a lot, but right now I'm gonna try again. Okay, all right, yeah, the question is, why am I asking this question to myself? Okay, yeah, what exactly is this question and why am I asking question to myself? I wanted to build a application called My Artifact. What exactly is this application? When you write the diary, you cannot able to be write the diary the way that you wanted to, because your thought process is actually much more faster than your writing speed. Why does writing speed is kind of like a much more slower? Is because of that key you need a pen, you need a paper, you need a convenience, and even after that you cannot able to be print your thoughts, you cannot able to be wrote down your thoughts because your thoughts are way much faster. Okay, and that's why so many people are kind of like a do not write the diary. But what if instead of writing a diary, what if we could record a diary? Okay, like a kind of like a some audio record a diary. Okay, I called audio record diary called artifact. The stuff that you are kind of like listening right now, this is my artifact. My artifact episode number 4115. I am doing this thing for past 11 years. I am doing this thing every single day. Because of writing a diary is a self-reflection process, same as recording an artifact is also self-reflection process too. It add so much amount of value inside of me. The person that I'm became today and the person that I will become tomorrow, it is all because of artifact. I wanted to share this value to the people. I wanted to share that key, like basically I wanted to share this value, the share that kind of like how much value that I get. I wanted to share this value, share this process of this artifact. How do I supposed to share this values, this process? By building an application. My application, it's somewhat something like a YouTube platform. In the YouTube platform, you kind of like record your video, upload your video, other people kind of like simply sees your video. Same thing in artifact, you kind of like record your artifact, upload your artifact in artifact platform, other people kind of like simply listen your artifact. There is only one catch, is that your privacy is always been secured. No one will gonna know your name and things and that. Your privacy is always been hidden. Before I wanted to build this application, I wanted to aware of all the possible consequences, specifically worst possible consequences. So I went to ChatGPT. I tell my idea regarding about everything and that. And I also tell him to suggest me at least like hundreds of all the worst possible consequences that might gonna happen, so that I would be aware of that. ChatGPT kind of like suggests me hundreds of worst possible consequences converted into the question. This is one of those questions. Now regarding about the question says that how will user access delete data? Well, user cannot able to be access the delete data. Obviously, when they delete the data, how they will access the data? Okay, first of all, let me kind of like tell you something. Okay, so when you record the artifact, you are talking about something, whatever it is. That is very most important data of you. Okay, like literally, when I'm recording my artifact, my one of the biggest concern is that I wanted to make sure my data is being secure or being kind of like not get deleted, because this is the one of the biggest fear. Why? Because when you record the artifact, when you kind of like talk about basically when you kind of like put that much effort to kind of like talk about things and that regarding about value and stuff, you shouldn't supposed to be want that just kind of like deleted. No, like basically this thing, you put a lot of effort to make YouTube video and YouTube kind of like deletes your video, then what? Obviously it felt like a heartbroken betrayal and things and that, right? So basically is this thing that when I kind of like record my artifact, I consider that my data, my artifact is one of the really essential thing, and I don't want to delete, or I not want to delete. I kind of like I don't want to delete, or I don't want to accidentally delete. Nothing really at all. I wanted to make sure that my data is kind of like really secured. So what I did, I kind of like bought so many hard drive, external hard drive. First of all, I bought the 1 TB hard drive, then 2 TB hard drive. Okay, then I kind of like realized that my data is kind of like too much, and I need to kind of like a secure, because if one data is a kind of like a corrupted or things, then might be chaos will gonna happen. So one TB drive is a kind of like a created as a backup. Okay, yeah, and that drive is kind of like a stored in my locker, so that probably if one drive kind of like a get corrupted, I might have data in my locker, in my kind of like a locker, not my locker, like a basically in like in cupboard, something like I kind of like a store it very perfectly, like a completely kind of like a vacuum and things and that. So yeah, so basically this is what I did. I was kind of like really kind of like somebody really concerned regarding about that ki my data will not shouldn't supposed to be lost, and I did lost. Basically is this thing that what exactly happened, that ki in 2021 my data got lost, almost like a probably thousands of artifact is actually deleted. My hard drive got corrupted. It was like a really fucked up, because thousands of like almost entire data. Okay, yeah. Like almost like a 2-3 year of artifact that I recorded was almost gone, and I was like, what the fuck. But thank god I have a kind of like a created backup, which is kind of like a, yeah, then I realized that dude, like a storing data on hard drive, that is not kind of like a feasible, definitely not. Okay, so I realized that I have to be upload my artifact. Then how do I supposed to upload? Because let me tell you one thing, 4,000 of artifact files, sometime video, sometime audio. How do I supposed to upload 4,000 file on YouTube? That is too much, too much. Then I kind of like realized that no, I have to be upload, because there is no kind of like assembly, like there is no shot, there is no kind of like a things. I have to be kind of like edit my artifact, upload my artifact, and I have to do this. It took me almost like a 6 months to upload my artifact. 6 months, like after I kind of like somebody did my content creation, then after that I would kind of jump into the editing my artifact. Like it's not kind of like editing, like convert it into the video, because my most of the artifact is a kind of like audio, and you cannot able to be just audio in artifact. You have to be just artifact. You cannot able to upload just audio in YouTube. You have to kind of like make a video. So basically it's this thing that I kind of like put the kind of like audio into the Premiere Pro, add a kind of like a white, add a kind of like a yellow layer, put the name and kind of like a date, okay, and kind of like assembly, make the kind of like a video and kind of like upload, kind of like a export the video. So this is what I'm doing for kind of like a, like almost like it took me almost like a 6 to 7 months to kind of like assembly, create all my artifact and upload all those artifact and things and that. Okay. So that's why this is kind of like a very essential. And then I realized that okay, YouTube is a kind of like a really good. So that so basically if you are kind of like a listening my artifact on this YouTube platform, is not because of that I wanted to kind of like upload the YouTube and things. It is because of that I have a kind of like assembly very like I was kind I realized that I might lose data, so probably that's why I deleted. So YouTube is a kind of like I use as a YouTube as a kind of like a storage drive for me. Okay, not for kind of like a content, whatever. So yeah, so I realized that my data is a kind of like a very much essential. So I have to be asked this question to myself. So if I kind of like make this application, people are kind of like recording the artifact, and if the people who kind of like deleted the artifact or kind of like things, can they able to be accessed? Well, I don't know how. Like basically it's this thing that now I'm gonna make sure, like if you deleted some of the artifact, then like basically it's this thing na ki if the user kind of like somebody click and delete the artifact, there is a kind of like a surety dialog box will come. Do you really want to delete that delete this artifact? And user press yes, then it will kind of delete, because like basically I asked the double confirmation from the user, okay, and the user kind of like deleted that thing. So in that situation, should I kind of like simply recover? I don't know, like basically how do I supposed to be kind of like recover? Because if the user kind of like delete the command and double sure, like basically I also kind of like give the another kind of like a dialog box that do you really delete, do you really wanted to delete this thing, and user says yes, then there is no way to kind of like a recover. There is no way that user kind of like access the deleted data. No. Yeah, definitely. Like basically is this thing, if you kind of like uploaded artifact in my platform, it's my guarantee that artifact should supposed to be kind of like there for rest of the lifetime. I'm gonna make sure that will gonna possible. But if the user kind of like a delete, then yeah. But also is this thing, there are multiple consequences will gonna happen too. I have to be kind of like a look at that. No user will kind of like a delete thousands of data at the same time, or thousands of artifacts at the same time, or hundreds of artifacts at the same time. No, definitely not. Okay, so if the user who kind of like a simply like a kind of like a simply deleting, like a basically what is actually happened now, when the user are kind of like a simply at the spur of the moment, or at the kind of like a heat or things, or kind of like a very angry, that particular person might gonna do very stupid thing. Okay, yeah, like basically just kind of like a delete the kind of like WhatsApp, Instagram and things and that. Yeah, user might gonna kind of like a somebody in angry situation kind of like a selected the kind of like artifact and delete. Okay, yeah. So in that situation, there is a kind of like a things, you can delete the artifact by kind of like a somebody one by one, not at the same time. Okay, yeah. Another thing is that ki if you are kind of like a deleting kind of like a too much, like basically is this thing, you are kind of like a deleting 10 artifact, okay, yeah, like rapidly, then kind of like a somebody account will try to make sure that are you the real person, you are not. Because most probably chances would be that ki probably that person might gonna hack or things and that in that situation I have to be protect that particular person. Oh yeah, this is the one thing. Okay, another thing is that ki another thing, what is actually another thing, like suddenly I have kind of like a thoughts regarding about deleting artifact. Okay, so yeah, like this is kind of like at the spur of the moment, at the kind of like a heat of the moment, you kind of like started deleting, you cannot able to be delete the artifact more than 10 artifact. Okay, right now I will not gonna build the architecture, but basically in the future I might gonna build this architecture that key at the spur of the moment, at the heat of the moment, you will not gonna be delete more than 10 artifact. If you are kind of like a try to delete, then kind of like I wanted to verify that key, are you the real person, you are not, because you might gonna get hacked or things and that. So in that situation I'm gonna make sure that key your account might get locked, and it will only kind of like a verify, and then it will kind of it will kind of like simply open. This will kind of like a better approach would be kind of like a for kind of like a not to kind of like a user delete the kind of like a data and things and that. And if the user kind of like a deleted the data at the spur of the moment, then user can access that data. Deleted data, no, you can't. When you deleted, it's also got deleted too, so there is no way to access that thing. Okay, yeah. But dude, now like why are you kind of like doing this thing? Like I'm not kind of like doing anything, I'm kind of like asking double sure for that. And if the user kind of like deleted, then I don't have a rights to kind of like somebody keep that artifact. Definitely not, I have to be kind of like delete the artifact. Okay, so yeah, that's the kind of like a thing. Okay, so yeah, this is it. By the way, there are kind of like a couple of artifacts question are over here. I have to be asked this question. All right, so this is it, and I have to end here, and thank you.